Kafa Mucheru, having been nominated for appointment to the position of Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology, do solemnly affirm that I shall testify on all matters in question and tell the Committee on Appointments the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Mr. Mucheru, you have been nominated to the position of Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology. The name? Yes, Information, Communication and Technology.
Yes.
You have sent us some documents, copies of which we have. We want to have the originals. Have you brought the originals?
I have them here.
Yes. Please let us have a look at them. Even as we look at those documents, could you tell us about yourself, about why you think, if at all, that you are suitable and qualified to hand the ministry for which you have been nominated, and more particularly, telling us about when you were born, where, your education, background, experience, matters that you have dealt with that are of public nature, or matters that you have done that have impacted on the public in whatever way.
Thank you very much. So as I mentioned earlier, my name is Joseph Wakafa Mucheru. I was born in Limuru, Kamerego in 1968, August 28th, so I'm 47 years old. And I went to Kamadura Primary School to start with, then Nairobi Primary School, Lenana School, and eventually I went to City University in London, where I did a joint honors degree in economics and computer science. During that time, I had 1 year of work experience with the Department of Transport. So I worked for the Queen for that duration, and it was mainly working on information for the Channel Tunnel that they were building between the UK and the mainland continent of Europe. And they wanted to know, as they opened the borders, how much traffic was going to be going through. I then worked in the UK for a company called Radopath UK Limited. It was a biopharmaceutical company, and I was responsible for their MIS systems. They were mainly researching in AIDS and cancer drugs. They had the presence in the US, Dallas, in the UK, Birmingham, London, and in Uganda. And I was responsible for their communication using the internet. Around 1996, I moved back to Kenya and worked for a company called NairobiNet to start with. I was one of the first webmasters in the country. So I came back to introduce the internet because I felt it was an important asset and tool that we would use in the continent and in Kenya. From NairobiNet, I went to a company called Interconnect, and today they are called Internet Solutions. I started again as a webmaster and then became the technical and product development manager. And in that job, one of my tasks was to connect to the internet, get services out of Telecom Kenya, which was a monopoly at the time, and be able to connect our customers. We had about 2,000 customers, and it was mostly dial-up internet connection. I then joined what we call the Telecommunication Service Providers Association. And the reason for this is that Telecom Kenya, which was a monopoly, had then said in around 1998 that they were going to set up their own ISP, which was going to compete with the other ISPs. The challenge there was that they were the monopoly and you could only get services from them, and it was difficult. And so this was essentially a lobby group, and we started it and started lobbying at least to ensure that there was going to be open and fair competition as the monopoly also came in to compete. At some point, I left Interconnect with a colleague, and we set up a company called 190 Online. And the main reason for doing that was the Interconnect Limited wanted to focus on the corporate businesses, and I wanted, with my colleague, to focus on the 190, on the farmers. And so we set up 190 Online. That again still continued with Textbook, and it's known today as Zuku. It offers triple play services. And after that company, I then joined Google. I was the first employee of Google in sub-Saharan Africa, and was able to set up offices for them in Kenya, Uganda, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Senegal, and I've been with them up to, well, I'm still with them 8.5 years now, and I've taken various roles. I was initially the East Africa lead, then I was the Africa lead, then I became the Kenya country manager, then I became the Sub-Saharan Africa ambassador, and at the moment I'm the head of Google Energy in Africa. So I've gone through the various stages of the ICT sector. At the same time, while I was still at Google, I have joined several boards. So I've been on the board of M-Pesa Foundation Academy Advisory Board, UAP Investments, and now with Old Mutual, a company called AFB, which is in the financial services business, BitPesa, which is in virtual currencies, or popularly known as Bitcoin businesses. I've been in a charity called Give Directly, and also the Mango Tree. So I've been broadly in the ICT sector, working on various I would say services, from infrastructure development to content development. And lastly, I've also been an investor. So I invested in a few companies within the tech sector here, which we're calling the Silicon Savannah, and I've been able to even exit in some of them, where we've sold to a South African company successfully. For me, my investment was multiplied almost 20 times. So I've been in the industry and I've seen quite a lot of success. I would say I have moved from being a local business, competing with the monopolies and fighting for relevance. We actually took CCK to court and were able to get the first gateway licenses in the country. So we set up a company called Fastlane, went to court, and were able to finally open the sector. We got PDNO licenses, the market structure was opened. And so I've been involved in the industry for many years. I think it's almost 20 now. And so I feel competent to be able to get into the business and be able to get the industry going. Yeah.
Very well. Members, I give the Vice Chair of the Committee on Energy, Communications and Technology, or something like that, the Honorable Kiptanui, the first chance, David Wekesa next, Moses Cheboy third.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to congratulate Mr. Mucheru for your nomination.
Thank you.
I have 3 questions. One, from your brief, it looks like you are an expert in this sector, and you know the challenges facing the ICT sector, which include issues to do with cyber security, data protection policy, issues to do with software, piracy of software, counterfeit electronics, and computer hardware. If appointed to this position as a CS, how do you intend to address these challenges? Question number 2, how do you intend to deal with the challenges of child abuse, especially with regard to broadcasting of harmful content to the children by our media houses? And you know very well. And finally, KBC will be under you. What plans do you have as a CS to make it competitive and commercially viable to be able to generate revenue for this country? Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.